Yeah. I was gonna say 98. Yeah. I was gonna say 98.
Good evening. Wairika City Council meeting for July 15th, 2025, the regular session. It is now 6:42 and Mr. Jarrett, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Place your hand over your heart, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just as a bit of housekeeping, I'm just asking everybody to please silence their cell phones. And for those of us who have microphones in front of us, please be sure to speak into your microphone so that everybody can hear us. In addition to that, the City Council met in closed session this evening from 6 o'clock to 6:34 with no reportable action taken. And so will the clerk please take the roll?
Good evening, Wairika City Council. I'm going to go ahead and take roll. Drake Davis, are you present?
Aye, I'm here.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Present.
James Clare,
Here.
Colleen Baker.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the actual approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes that we'd like to make to the agenda order at this time? None. So we'll go on with our agenda. We have no presentations this evening. So next up is public comment. Public participation is welcome and invited at all city council meetings. This time is set aside for residents to address the city council on matters listed on the consent agenda, as well as other items not included on the regular agenda. If your comments concern an item noted on the regular agenda, please address the council when that item is open for public comment. The city requests that persons addressing the city council refrain from making personal, slanderous, profane, or disruptive remarks. Please speak into the microphone from the podium, and the podium adjusts electronically up and down to accommodate the speaker. Please address the council as a whole. Please state your name for the record prior to providing your comments. And if you have documents to present, please provide a minimum of 7 copies, and these become public record. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. And the public comment period is not intended to be a question and answer period or conversations with council or city staff. Do we have any public comments this evening? Please come down to the podium.
Hello, my name is Corey Hines, and I'm here today to discuss with you some issues that we've been having in my neighborhood, which is in the top half of Turry Street, Meadowlark area. I had called the city to report a water pressure issue at the beginning of June. That would be June 26th. At that time, they took my report and then suggested that I go to see Clerk Fix and also make a report there if I didn't hear back from someone. June 30th, I made the report on Clerk Fix. Today is July 15th. I have called the city again and spoke with someone, and I was told that someone would get back to me that day. I've received nothing. My husband and I both work very hard. My husband has been trying to assist our neighbors who are elderly. One lady has already over $1,000 bill due to water pressure issues because it is breaking items. I've brought in samples of the sand that was reported to the city council, or not the city council, but the city regarding what we have coming in. We've been told by the plumber to reach out to the city and provide you guys our bills because it's not from our side. We know of at least 4 to 5 houses in our area that are having this issue. As I was leaving here tonight, leaving my children with my husband, he had to go over again to our neighbor's house because they lost all water pressure. This is concerning because we're in fire season. So where the fire hydrant is located is at the corner of Turry and Emerson. So if I don't have water pressure to water my lawn or even use a facility like a toilet or take a shower, what happens if there's a fire? I feel like waiting over a month for a response is concerning. No one has gotten back to me. I feel like, should I just not pay my water bill and wait for them to come shut it off and then maybe they'll come take a look? I feel like the response has been ridiculous for the situation and where we're at. We need to take care of each other. I am fine with paying higher rates for things if that means we're going to take care of our city and the people who live in it. But this, I don't feel like we're taking care of. My husband has helped every single neighbor clearing the lines. After he had the plumber show him, what tool do I need? He's gone over, he's helped our neighbors. This is continuing to happen. We've reported it to the city that it's continuing. No one has reached out to us. So I'm now coming and making it public. I was hoping that we would not have to do that. But at this point, I don't know what else to do. We're not receiving any response, not from Public Works, not from the city itself or any of the constituents there. So I'm letting you know here today and publicly, we have an issue, I have a concern, and maybe something will happen. Thank you. Would you guys like to see the sand or the broken parts that we've had to replace?
I won't leave.
So this one was from tonight. This one was from 6/26, and then this one was from July.
We can do my card for you. We
I
can-
think that would be a good idea. This is the part that we had to work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, Jan Osborne, Wairika. I have 3 items that I want to bring to your attention. The first one I'm going to call Love Where You Live. And where we live is Wairika. And I will come back to explain what I mean by that, but it's in short, we need to do something to increase the people's pride in our community. The second thing has to do with Municipal Code 9.24.010, which has to do with the curfew for minors under 18. And the third item has to do with, you guessed it, dogs, okay? Love where you live. When you love something or someone, you take care of it. You want the very best for it. I have been reading all kinds of negative comments and hearing them from people that I talk with about what an awful place Wairika has become. It concerns me. So I am suggesting that we have some kind of a community project that I'm calling Love Where You Live, just to deal with litter. Love where you live. Please do not litter. And better yet, don't litter in the first place. The curfew. There's a lot of graffiti around Wairika, a lot of broken windows, a lot of broken doors on buildings. I don't know that it's all done by minors, the juveniles, but I do know that juveniles are out well after the curfew time of 11 p.m. A friend reported that on her street at 12:15 one night this weekend, her dog started barking. She woke up, she looked out the window, and the dog was at the fence by the front of the property. She went out and she saw a group of teenagers, all dressed in black with black backpacks on, and they were antagonizing the dog. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. I think we need to get more strict with the kids and the parents on this. No second chance. If you're out after 11 o'clock, your parents get notified. Dog problem. Saturday, I came home from a walk at Greenhorn Park. It was about 8:30 in the morning. The young man who does my yard work, as soon as I got out of my car in the garage, he walked in and pointed, "This dog's been following me around since you left." It was a black dog. If you look at the YPD Facebook page, you'll see that dog. His picture was there because he was wandering on North Street. I called YPD and asked for officers to come and get the dog. Went in the house, did a couple things, and then I looked out the window and there were 2 YPD patrol cars in front of my house. Out another window, I saw that there was a police officer standing there with the young man that does my yard work. So I went out and the police officer said to me, "Jan, what can we do for you today?" And I said, "You can get that dog." By that time, the dog was up the street near my neighbor's house. And the second officer was with the dog trying to coax it. I thought he was trying to capture it. The police officer on my driveway said, "We can't do that. The shelter is full. We have no place to take the dog." And I said, "Well, what do we do?" And he says, "Well, I've already got dogs. I can't take any more dogs." So the solution was the dog kept wandering. The police left and a dog, and you know how hot it's been. Dog is out wandering, panting, and it's just an awful kind of thing that we have here. We need to get a community service officer that's also an animal control or vice versa. I asked the police officer about an animal control, and he says, "Well, the problem is if we get an animal control officer, we lose a police officer." That's not acceptable. I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, it's not acceptable. We need more police officers and at least one animal control officer, I believe. To recap, please consider, love where you live. And somehow, either through education, through the city council newsletter or whatever, the city newsletter, encourage people to get behind.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lorenzo Love. There's always money to hire new people for City Hall. But there's never enough money to hire a dog catcher, an animal control officer. If you can't afford an animal control officer, maybe you should get rid of one of the people in City Hall. You know, we need boots on the street, not asses in seats.
Is there any further public comment? Okay, so we'll move on to item 9, which is the consent agenda. And all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one motion unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. Item A is approval ratification of payments issued from June 8th, 2025 through June 5th, 2025. B, cash balances, budget to actual and fiscal performance reports for April 2025. C, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 17th, 2025. D, adoption of resolution 2025-25 of the City Council of the City of Wairika approving the destruction of certain city records identified by the finance director. E, adoption of resolution 2025-26 of the City Council of the City of Wairika authorizing the city manager to enter into a written agreement to accept grant funds from the California Fire Foundation if awarded for purchase of communications equipment, which are handheld radios. And the requested action is to approve the consent agenda as presented. What are the wishes of the council?
Council Middleton, I'll make the motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion from Councilmember Middleton, a second by Councilmember Davis to adopt the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? No. Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda are our public hearings. The first one is our municipal projects manager, the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Planning Grant closeout public hearing. And this public hearing is for the purpose of discussion and possible action. We're conducting a public hearing regarding Community Development Block Grant, CDBG grant for the City of Wairika Fire Station Development Planning Project, and adopt resolution 2025-27 approving the planning documents. The city's municipal project manager will now present the staff report for the public hearing.
Evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, Cindy Lynch, Municipal Projects Manager. As the mayor said, we're closing out the planning grant for the CDBG new fire station planning project. The State Department of Housing and Community Development administers the CDBG program, which authorizes the use of state funds to assist low and moderate income persons, households, and communities. Forgive me, I'm going to be doing a lot of just reading so that we can make sure we have everything in the record that's required. So since February of 2020, the city of Wairika has applied for and received a total of $4,750,000 in CDBG grants, and the fire station development planning works complete, and the grant contract with HCD can be closed out. In order to close out a CDBG grant contract with HCD, the city is required to conduct a public hearing for each grant project to solicit input regarding expenditures and accomplishments of the funding received under the contract, and then to submit the required closeout documents to HCD. And the planning grant closeout also requires the council resolution accepting the grant deliverable documents. There will be further details about this project read into the record during the public hearing. And the public hearing notice and planning grant documents were linked below in the agenda online. The full documents are over 2,000 pages, so we didn't print anything out, obviously. The public hearing notice and the planning grant documents are in the link. The resolution was attached. And at present, if anyone has any questions, I'm here before we start the public hearing.
Are there any questions? Thank you. So this is a formal public hearing. The state has specific requirements for this public hearing. So I'm going to be reading some information which may sound familiar to everybody, but it's state requirements. So I'll now introduce the public hearing for the city CDBG project grant to be closed out. The purpose of this public hearing will be to update residents on the activities and accomplishments of the planning project listed on the agenda item. The public hearing notice was published in both the Reading Record Searchlight and the Siskiyou Daily News on July 2nd, 2025. The notice was also posted at the city's website, events calendar, and on the City Hall bulletin board on July 2nd, 2025. The council meeting agenda was posted in accordance with the Brown Act. Since February 2020, the City of Wairika has applied for several CDBG grants and has received a total of $4,750,000 in grants for 5 projects. The city has also expended $633,000 in accumulated CDBG program income from a longstanding CDBG loan program administered by the city. Program income totaling over $35,000 per year can only be expended on CDBG projects or programs. Otherwise, it must be returned to the state. So now I would like to formally open the CDBG public hearing regarding the Wairika New Fire Station Development Planning Project, and the city municipal projects manager will present the project update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The item for discussion is CDBG agreement number 21-CDBG-PL-30004 for the City of Wairika Fire Station Development Planning Project. In March 2021, the city held a public meeting soliciting potential CDBG project applications, and one request was for planning funds to develop a project to build a new fire station. The city applied for and was awarded a $250,000 CDBG planning grant with Adams Ashby Incorporated as a consultant to assist with the necessary planning work. And the city also procured the consulting firm of Nichols, Milberg, and Rosetto Incorporated, or NMR, for architectural and engineering services throughout the project. The CDBG planning project was completed in June of 2025. To summarize the accomplishments, CDBG planning grants provided a start to the development of a construction project for a new fire station to replace the city's current 90-year-old fire station. The new fire station, once constructed, is expected to serve the city of Wairika and provide mutual aid to other fire departments in Siskiyou County. It's projected to benefit an estimated 4,540 low to moderate income Wairika residents, as well as about 1,045 persons under 65 with disabilities, according to census data, who would all benefit from the usual services of a modern municipal fire station. And the grant activities that were funded, one category was the activity budget for planning. That was $232,500. It was expended on, first, the completion of a facility study, which included construction estimate and a financing plan to outline multiple avenues of construction funding. Second was site comparison and selection process for the city to begin acquisition of the new fire station site. And third was a preliminary architecture, design, and engineering to begin the development of the new construction project. And finally, it was the beginning of the environmental process based on the selected site and preliminary engineering. The environmental beginning was the Phase 1 ESA, or environmental site assessment, and a limited Phase 2 ESA sampling work. The other category for the grant was the general administration budget, which was $17,500 spent on general administration activities for the project and the grant, which means the full $250,000 in awarded funding was used for the project. No funds are to be disencumbered. Madam Mayor, that's complete if council has questions.
Any of the council members have questions?
No.
Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for public comment. Anyone with questions, comments, or suggestions, please identify yourself by name before you speak, and the city clerk will include your name in the minutes. Do I have anybody wishing to speak on this issue? Since there are no public comments at this time, the public hearing for this item is closed. And the closeout of this CDBG planning grant requires council adoption of Resolution 2025-26 to document the acceptance of the grant deliverables, which are the Wairika New Fire Station Architectural Report, facility study, including financial plan, preliminary environmental review reports, and preliminary site plans.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Just a clarification. Above it says 2025, or this, you said 2025, 26. It says 2027 on.
I believe we did change the resolution to 2025-27. Is that what's in your agenda
It
packet?
reflects on the agenda, but I think. Is it typing?
It says 26 in some of the notes because those probably didn't get changed.
Okay. Yeah.
Perhaps the city
It does
could
reflect.
verify
resolu-
which number it is.
It does reflect adopts of resolution 2025-27 on our agenda, but you did say 2025-26. I just want to make sure it's right.
This is correct. 25-27 is
Okay.
correct.
It is 2025-27.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, as Councilman McCoy, I'd like to move that we adopt the resolution 2025-27 of the City Council of the City of Wairika approving planning grant documents.
Council Middleton, I will second the motion.
So we have
As I
motion.
understand it, as I understand it, we open up for public comment again,
Oh.
just to ensure that no one has anything to say.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then-
For the correction. Oh, I'm sorry.
Great.
So I will open up again for public comment, and anyone with questions, comments, or suggestion, again, please identify yourself by name when you speak, and your name will be included in the minutes. There are no public comments, so the public comment period is closed, and we do have a motion on the floor by Councilmember McCoy, seconded by Councilmember Middleton to adopt. I have to find it here. To adopt resolution 2025-27 of the City Council of the City of Wairika approving the planning grant documents. Do we have any discussion? Is there any discussion by council members at this time? Thank you. So at this time, I would request that the clerk would take a roll call vote, please.
All those in favor of adopting resolution 2025-27 of the City Council of the City of Wairika approving planning grant documents, please let me know. Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember McCoy,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton, Councilmember Clerk,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, the next public hearing that we have this evening is the planning manager, and it's the City of Wairika Community Development Block Grant CDBG Subsistence Payment Program application.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This is Alia Roca Lezra, your planning manager. I'm a little sick tonight, so I'm sorry about my voice. So at the June 3rd regular city council meeting, the Wairika City Council directed the city manager to enter into a subrecipient agreement between the City of Wairika and Great Northern Services to prepare an application for the 2025 Community Development Block Grant Subsistence Payment Program. If you'll remember, those payments would help residents cover rent payments, mortgage payments, utility payments, etc. So the California Department of Housing and Community Development requires that the city holds at a minimum one public hearing and one public meeting before a CDBG application is submitted. This meeting is an opportunity to educate and inform local residents about the project, to provide a forum for resident input, and to identify any community development needs. So we had one public hearing today at the Wairika Community Resource Center. We had a turnout of 8 residents. We talked about some of Great Northern Services' existing programs, such as weatherization and food programs, and there was generally support of a subsistence program through CDBG and a CDBG application. So tonight is a second opportunity for the community to provide input for what they would like to see in a grant application for the subsistence payment program. And in addition to allowing for questions and comments from council members. So we have Brandy Caparasso here tonight from Great Northern Services. And Brandy, I believe you're going to go through the public hearing handout. And then we can go to clarifying questions if city council has any. And if not, we can go open the public hearing for public input. So.
I'm Brandy Caparoso, Community Development Manager for Great Northern Services. And as part of the public meeting, sort of what we did with the closeout, we have to do pretty much somewhat the same thing. I'm a little bit more in depth for the application process. So the CDBG notice of funding availability, or the NOFA, is expected to be released in the summer of 2025. And so this is the public's opportunity to make comment on what projects or programs they would like Wairika to apply for. The following, what I'm going to be reading is regarding the availability of funding, and the application information is actually all from the draft of the Housing Community Development State of California 2025-2029 Federal Consolidated Plan. The final requirements for submitting the 2025 CDBG application will be published in the 2025 CDBG NOFA. The reason we're doing this a little bit ahead of time, it's quite a project trying to get public meetings and public hearings going and get everybody's input on that when the application period is open. So this is just kind of speeding it along. And then when the application is open, then we really start going full steam ahead, and we'll come back with a resolution to get that approved when the application opens and we get that document format. Funding and applications, the state annual allocations expected to be approximately $34 million. This is what it was last year. This is HUD funding, and it's through the California Department of Housing and Community Development. And so that's state fund. It's not state funding, but it's HUD funding coming through the state. And then the activities that can be undertaken are acquisition. So either the city or a nonprofit through the city can acquire buildings or property. It can do administration or planning. So you just finished a planning grant. It can provide economic development, housing, which is generally most jurisdictions in Siskiyou County use it for housing rehabilitation. It can also be for public improvements or public building improvements or public services. And this is an application for public services. The applications will be scored on a competitive basis. Competitive applications criteria will focus on need, readiness, capacity, and past performances. Grantees who have not been awarded a grant recently will be prioritized. Sounds like Wairika has just finished out a grant, so you won't get prioritized. We have had in the 2024 CDBG applications, 3 jurisdictions applied for competitive applications, and 3 of them, well, actually 5 did, and three were actually awarded applications in the competitive application. So it's a very good chance that that Wairika would probably be able to, if there's not a technicality and it's thrown out, that you would get the application. So there's a total applications of 1 planning or 1 public services grant can be submitted. A total applications of an economic development or a housing rehab application can be submitted. And then a total application for infrastructure, public facilities, or some such project is 1 application. So you can, the city can apply for 3 total applications, basically 1 from each category. So you can't have 2 public works jobs. For example, you can't pave a street and then rehabilitate a public building. The funding limits are for total for the 3 grants is $3.6 million. The public and the planning and public services grant can be a maximum of $300,000. The project application limit for public works jobs is $3.3 million. And then program applications, which are economic development or housing rehabilitation, is $1.5 million. The application acceptance that will be outlined in the NOFA is expected to be 60 days. So the NOFA will drop The jurisdiction will have 60 days to review the NOFA, and then it'll be open for 60 days to submit that application. And since it's not first come, first served this time, you have that full 60 days to submit the application. The city expects to submit an application for subsistence payment program. The payments can cover, as Alia said, up to 3 consecutive months of assistance for households to help with rent, mortgage, utilities, or other such supports. Depends upon how you guys want to set up, how the staff wants to set up the guidelines. And those guidelines, of course, will come to City Council for approval. The payments will be made directly to the vendor. Payments do not go to the household. This can't duplicate other assistance. So if they're getting light heap assistance or they're getting another type of assistance from, say, St. Vincent de Paul, we can't also give assistance. We can next month if we're not getting that assistance, but they can't double dip. And this is going to low to moderate income household. Those amounts are on the back for 2025. And of course that is updated once a year, and that's at the 80% limit. So it's the yellow box is how much they'll be able to, that income level. We're estimating the budget is going to be $300,000. There won't be any displacement of people. We're trying to keep them in their house with this program. As Alia said, we're the subrecipient, and we're going to be assisting with submitting the grant application. And if the grant funds are awarded, we'll assist the city in developing the guidelines. We'll pretty much do all of the front end work. We'll do the outreach, accepting the applications, reviewing the applications, approving the applications, and making sure that the clients are actually eligible. We did this for the CV programs when Mount Shasta was the lead agency on that. Once a month, Great Northern will be submitting the vendor list and the payment amount to the city, and then the city will go ahead and pay the vendor. So Great Northern doesn't touch any of the funds. The past CDBG funds, as I just learned out today, there's been $4 million, approximately a little over $4 million expended from CDBG funds since 2020, which is fantastic. And that's all I have. So I'll take questions or comments from City Council or.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the City Council members? Okay. So at this time, I need to open the public hearing for public comment. And anybody wishing to make public comment, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. It will be entered into the official minutes of the meeting. So I will now open it to public comment.
Jan Osborne, Wairika. Basically, I am opposed to grants, especially when I see that this grant money would go for rent support, mortgage payments, and utilities. As someone who has never reached out for welfare, and I go back to our preamble to our Constitution, we the people, among all the things, FEI, PPS, provide for the common defense. That means we pay for the defense of our country. Promote the general welfare. That doesn't mean provide it. That means to help it, to stay out of the way so people can take care of themselves. That's what it means to me. And I really object to government money, which I contribute to, and you all do too, being given to people who I don't know. I mean, have they been living within their means? What's happened? Why are they going to be given rental assistance, mortgage payments, and paying their utility bills? It doesn't make sense to me, and it seems extremely unfair to the taxpayer.
Mariatri. I think this program's great, but the program itself doesn't help people in trailers in our trailer parks. People who work, people who pay taxes, people who pay rent, but they cannot afford to buy an air conditioner. And then they also wouldn't be able to pay the electricity that would cause. I think that we need to find a way to help our citizens through this entire city. They pay into this city every day. They pay for water, they pay for everything that they need to pay for, taxes, they buy stuff. That's more taxes for our fire department. So if this is a way to help them, we need to help them. That is our godly job. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? There's no other public comment, so I understand the only action that is needed is to close the public hearing. Right, well, I will close the public hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to city business, item 11, and this is our assistant city manager. And this is discussion possible action of code enforcement settlement agreement for 1409 Nugget Way, Wairika. Assessors parcel number 062-091-270-000. Good
Thank
evening.
you. Mayor and Council, just a summarization, the City of Wairika has been in code enforcement action at 1409 Nugget for several years since a fire occurred within the unit. It was a wood burning fireplace that had, or a oven stove that essentially burned a portion of the house and it was not livable. Since that occurred, several years ago, the city began in earnest about 4 years ago doing code enforcement action on the property since it had not been brought up to code or kept clean. There were a number of abatement issues that occurred on the property, which was the depositing of dilapidated vehicles, depositing of trash, and so it became a nuisance property. So the city of Wairika has been in that active code enforcement for about 4 years. Since that has occurred, the city did move into a receivership lawsuit last year in March to try and get a owner to respond to us and fix up the unit to bring it back into compliance. While that was happening, the property was put onto tax sale auction for the property taxes not being paid. And so when that happened, a new owner took ownership of the property. And when that occurs, they also take ownership of the previous code enforcement issues that occur at that property. Thankfully, we do have a new owner who is present today who can answer some questions for you if you have any of them, who is willing to bring the unit back into compliance. And so at this point, the current direction that I have for the City of Wairika code enforcement is that we do try to get full cost recovery on our code enforcement actions on various properties within the city. And so when this situation came up, I felt meeting with the applicants, they have the best interest of the city in mind to get the unit back onto the market. And unfortunately, we do not have a situation where the financial expenditures are low. We've spent approximately, actually since I've posted this, we're approximately around $70,000 spent on attorney's fees, internal code enforcement staffing, filings with the court. And so in meeting with the applicant, that is too much for them to really handle in addition to bringing the unit back on board. And so we have come to you with a settlement agreement that we believe would meet both parties' interest, which is essentially recovering a significant amount of costs that the city has got, as well as bringing the unit back onto the housing market. So the intent of the property owner is to make it a long-term rental after it is completed with remodel. We've met with the property owner in our pre-application meeting process, and so they are aware of what needs to be done. We are aware of what needs to be done. And so we put together this agreement with dates that we feel are reasonable. It has been reviewed by the property owners, and they can speak to that when they come up for their portion of the public comment. And we believe that this is a mutually beneficial settlement for both the city and the applicant. And so essentially what it would be is a lump sum payment of $30,000 to the city of Wairika. In addition to the code enforcement costs, we have an unpaid utility bill, which is a little bit over $7,000 at this point. So even though we have pulled the meter from that property a couple years ago, you still incur a base rate on your bill. And so if people do not have a meter, just for everyone's edification, you do still get billed the base rate for that. And so that bill would be satisfied with the $30,000 lump sum payment, and we would have some cost recovery for the code enforcement attorney's time, my time, and other enforcement actions. On that note, because the property sold at a tax sale auction, the county typically takes out the property taxes that were owed, and then the remaining amount is able to be claimed by any other interested party for up to 1 calendar year. And so if the city council moves forward with this settlement agreement and the applicant, the property owners essentially meet the settlement agreement, we can still file a claim with the county and recover additional dollars related to that tax sale, which would be our intent if you move forward with this settlement agreement. The other options you have is to not enter into settlement agreement and move forward with full cost recovery as we've been previously directed to do. Although I believe that that would lead to additional costs from the city side to continue the receivership action lawsuit and to continue to find someone who will bring this house back onto the market. So we're bringing this for your consideration this evening, and I'm open to any questions if you have any.
Council members have questions?
So the ask, let me get this clear. The ask is for us to eat $40,000. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, approximately, yes.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from council members at this time? Mr. Davis?
I think I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So the utility costs in the paper that I got, or when I read my itinerary agenda, was $7,093.39.
Correct. That is as of this date.
And the attorney fees, I didn't see that in there. And do you have an exact fee on that?
Yeah, it's estimated at about $70,000.
The attorney fees?
And my time, code enforcement's time.
And
And
I'm asking for specifically the attorney fees.
I did not break them down specifically.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are you paid by the city?
Yes,
Okay. So you're doing your job.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, just for accounting purposes, I do charge my time to various accounts. And so when I do work on code enforcement actions, I do charge my time to the code enforcement line item. Similar for water, wastewater. If I'm needed in those areas, I do charge my time.
Those accounts will pay you for your duties.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
part of my, yes, my salary is
That's-
divided into those.
And your salary is the same.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get paid more.
I'm not arguing that. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that the Mason's offer is very respectable. I went by and took a look at the place and it doesn't even look like it's worth $30,000, but anyway, after there's permits, can you tell me about how much the permits will cost? You had a big, long list.
Yeah, so the permits, so this would be, we recommend a residential remodel to the applicant, which would cover all of the needed improvements to clean the property, to get rid of the smoke damage, drywall, anything else that's in there. My understanding from information from the applicant that an electrician has reviewed the structure and there's no electrical issues, which is good, and no structural issues. So we shouldn't need any engineering plans or licensed professional plans for the work that's going to be done. The building permit application is based off of valuation of work. And so until we get that value, I can't give an estimation on what the plan check fees would be. And then the issuance fee, I don't have off the top of my head, because again, that is based off of what type of work that they're all going to be doing. Again, they share with us in pre-application, but it's not necessarily what we get on an application. So it's hard to estimate what that's going to be at this point.
Okay. Would $40,000 be close?
For a permit?
Yeah.
No, I think it would be less than that.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, a residential remodel is not charged development impact fees. It's not charged a number of other city fees that new construction would be charged.
Okay. That sounds good.
Mayor Baker, if I may, I have a petition I'd like to hand out from the applicant as a supporting document for tonight.
Okay, if you could hold on to that for just a second. Councilmember Claire, do you have a question?
I have one more. I'm
Oh.
not done. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's perfectly okay. I read something else in there that seems to me like all these remodels and stuff were supposed to be done by the end of 2025,
Correct.
and it's supposed to be occupied.
So we didn't hinge it on occupancy. It's the final occupancy inspection. And so essentially what we did is I talked to the property owners and got an understanding for what they thought was reasonable. And then I talked to our building official and got his intake on what would be reasonable. And I added about a month to that. And so I believe that that is a logical time frame to get all of that work done. The house itself is actually not that bad of condition. So when we go in and take a look at construction pieces, there's a lot we take in, but the really good thing about this property is there was no structural damage from the fire. It was really cosmetic. There is a re-roof that is needed, and so there's a calculation for the re-roof, but the residential remodel will encompass all of that. Essentially, the worst thing that you have to deal with is smoke damage, which is essentially replacing all of the drywall and doing that. So it's a surprisingly minor project for how poor conditioned the property was.
Ms. Casey, I would think that maybe a year would be more appropriate than 6 months, because this is almost August.
Mhm.
And that,
I mean, again, it is your settlement agreement. If when you get to discussion, you want to give them more time, you are welcome to do that. You can motion to amend the settlement to have that. We feel that the 6 months is reasonable just based off of consultation with the property owners and our building official. And so that's why we brought that recommendation. But you can change it.
I'd like to do that,
Okay.
but I don't quite exactly know how to add, to make it.
We enter into discussion after public comment.
Yes.
We will take a look at your
Okay, thank you. I
at
appreciate
your
that.
desire
Ms.
to
Baker.
change.
That was it. I thought it was kind of quick. That's a lot of work, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Claire? So I have just a couple of questions. I want to make sure that I understand this process. So we're entering into a settlement agreement. If this house didn't sell, what would happen to it?
So what would have happened is if there wasn't a tax sale auction, we would have continued with the receivership action that we started last March in 2024. And so receivership action essentially is our code enforcement attorney going to the courts and asking them to assign a new property owner for a temporary amount of time to fix the unit, get it back onto the market, and then sell it. And then any additional sales money on that would be brought back to the city. And so that is a much longer process. And so essentially, if you do not enter into a settlement agreement today, and I will let the property owner speak for themselves, but I believe that you would go back into that process. And essentially, it's expensive. And we don't know if we're going to get a eligible receiver, which is why it's taken so long to find one. And that just incurs more cost from the city. Additionally, one of the things we did do and why the cost is so high at $70,000 is that we had illegal dumping and the people were leaving broke down vehicles on the property that we did an abatement order with the courts and had someone come in and abate that for us. And so there is cost for garbage removal, vegetation management, the towing of that vehicle and the dismantling of it was on the city's dime. And so that is part of the cost recovery as well. And so most likely, and this is just general now, when you have a code enforcement property like this, where you have continued issues of people dumping on it, it will continue to attract that nuisance. And so the odds of you having to go in and abate it again are high. Again, vegetation management is another one too. We went in and mowed the yard because we were concerned about wildfire issues, vegetation issues. And so in the most likely case, if you did not enter into an agreement tonight, we would continue to incur more cost.
Thank you. And I want to make sure also that I understand that the settlement agreement with the new property owners is for $30,000, but the city would actually have the opportunity to go back to the county.
Correct.
To request some funds as well. So the city is not at this point in time looking at, for a lack of better term, I'm just going to say the word loss. We're not looking at a loss of $40,000 off the top to recoup the entire $70,000.
That would be your worst case scenario. So your worst case scenario, if you enter into the settle agreement, the property owners satisfy that agreement, you would be out $40,000 because they wouldn't have any monies available. That is your worst case scenario. Best case scenario, based off of the tax amount that was owed, you could theoretically reclaim about $53,000 odd dollars.
Okay.
Yeah. The tax sale auction amount was about $30,000, and I believe the taxes owed to the county was about $6,800. But again, we don't know if anyone else is going to be filing a claim towards that. Most likely not, because the previous owner died, and so the next of kin just never came to claim the house, which is also part of why this has taken a very long time, because we have to exhaust every measure to contact the legal owners before we go into receivership. It's one of the downfalls of code enforcement is that it is extremely expensive and it takes a very, very long time to get a conclusion like this, which is why, again, I understand the fiscal duty of the city council and I respect that. We can change the amount as you see fit. But I believe from the code enforcement attorney's perspective and my perspective, this is a very good deal for you in terms of the grand scheme of how these go for a lot of other properties.
Thank you so much. So before I open it up for public comment, council members have any further questions? Okay, thank you.
Clarification. So just to add to the question, it's going to be turned to the rental market and not the resale market, correct?
That is my understanding from the property owners, but they are here today and could address that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so at this time, I will open it up for public comment. And Mr. Elsnab, you had a document to present to us. Thank you. So is there any public comment?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and the council. My name is Jeremy Mason. This is my wife, Brooke. We're lifelong residents of Siskiyou County. We're not real estate flippers or anything like that. We're just looking to make a long-term investment for some retirement income coming up and something to leave to our kids, down the road. This is the first time we ever did a county tax auction, and that leads to me being in this situation of my ignorance of the amount that was owed on the property. Once the auction closed, we immediately went to work and removed 35 yards of garbage from the inside of a 900 square foot house, which was about this deep, which was pretty amazing. But then once we came in to get a building permit, and then came to the realization of this fee today. So we had to back off on work until we could get this resolved, because we're not financially able to do the whole amount by any means. And so, yeah, we're just hoping that we can come to an agreement tonight, a compromise, and hope that would work to the best of everybody's interest. But yeah, we're ready. I've been chomping at the bit to get started on that place, and have some good ideas, and I think we can bring it back in. We can make a lot of progress. I did appreciate Mr. Davis's suggestion of the year. That would take a little bit of the pressure off, but we're definitely not going to be sitting on our haunches, because the quicker we get it fixed up, the quicker we can start, bringing some money back in. And it is, our plans are long-term rental. You'll see there's 35 signatures on that petition, which is virtually every person on the street that I could catch at home. And everybody was incredibly supportive. And then there was a couple people from neighboring streets that were in the neighborhood as well that were aware of the home. And we even had 2 different families that were excited at the thought of a rental becoming available for some of their family members that were living in their houses with them. And so, yeah, we're getting a lot of support from the people in the neighborhood. Everybody's pretty excited about seeing the place cleaned up. Yeah, they're kind of sick of looking at it. This is kind of the words we kept hearing from everybody. And yeah, if you have any questions for either of us, or if you have anything to add.
Yeah, it was just nice. We were able to meet with the residents in the neighborhood, and it's a nice neighborhood, and they do have concerns. I mean, it has, if you haven't seen it, Drake has seen it, but it's particle boards on the, particle board on the windows, and, the garage door is missing, and, yeah, it's very overgrown. So they had some concerns about, feral cats are living, under the house and different things like that. So they're hoping that something can happen. And so, of course, obviously it's advantageous to us if we can have income coming in, but it's also advantageous for the neighborhood too, just for morale, for them to not have to just drive past it every day and look at it. And they're concerned about their real estate values as well. Kind of degrading the value of the homes around it just because of how it looks, because most of the homes there are very nicely kept, and yeah, they don't look like that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for the Masons.
Go ahead.
Mr. and Mrs. Mason, what is your, when you've penciled out your timeline, what does your timeline tell you on remodeling this house?
Well, when I was talking with Ms. Lekesny, she had thrown out, of getting it done by the end of the year. I was like, well, I can do my best and knuckle it down. I think I can get a lot of it done by that time period for sure. Potentially, if I run into, I don't totally know all the delays I might run into with permitting or something like that. From my research, it's seeming like the permitting is going to be pretty simple. It's not like we talked about, nothing structural, nothing major like that. We're not disturbing dirt or anything like that. We're just basically fixing drywall and mostly cosmetic issues.
So do you have a timeline that have you penciled out a timeline of the schedule of what you're doing when you're doing things, ripping drywall, putting in drywall, fixing plumbing, floors, things like
there's
that?
no plumbing that needs to be done. It's a slab, so there's no flooring that needs to be fixed. It's just drywall and paint. Some exterior siding is a little bit rotten in a few places I want to fix. We got to put in all new windows. The windows, most of them are broken and they're just old. We need to get a new garage door installed. And then the fire department cut a couple holes in the roof to let the smoke out. But they didn't cut the trusses. They just cut the sheeting. I mean, I think I can get it done in 6 months, but I would love to have a little bit of the pressure off to just on things but I definitely want to get it closed in, get the roof fixed before weather starts hitting, things like that. But I'm going to be doing it mostly myself.
But you haven't penciled out a timeline yet. Okay. I think that'd be important for you to do, is to pencil a timeline out, see what you need to do. and what need, as they, what needs to be first, second, third, and fourth, and that I think will help you with your timeline.
Well, I appreciate that input. Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other public comment at this time? Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the council now for discussion and action. So, Mr. McCoy, any comments? I'd like to see if anybody else has comments. Mr. Middleton?
So this opens up for us discussion and maybe ideas of if we agree or maybe disagree or some alternative options possible, correct? Okay. So I'm not trying to be the damper up here, but I would like to see us recover $40,000 from the Masons, a little bit more. And it is a hard lesson because I am a real estate business and I know when tax sales, and if you've never done it before, do the research and there's if someone foreclosed on a first or a second, then there's a second for 80,000 they didn't know about and whatever. So it's can be a surprise. So I sympathize with you with that. But I like to see $40,000 recovered, not the 30,000. I think we're taking a big hit there. There's been other properties that we have recently cleaned up that we have not reduced, that we recovered. I think we're still sitting waiting for payment, I believe. And I think the other one we recovered are going to recover because it did sell at foreclosure and they are paying for it, I believe. I'm not sure, but so I like to see 40,000. I don't know if this can be done, but if they don't have the funds, say they do have the 30,000, not 10,000, I don't know if we can put a lien on the property. Should they decide to sell down the future, that we could collect on that $10,000. I'm not sure about that. And I would like probably because as Mr. Mason did state, he's doing the work himself, that we give him till March 1st, 2026. And if he needs more time, they'd come back and just request it from you, or you have to come back to us, request that. But that's what I would like to see. But that's just my opinion.
Could I clarify the lien comment, actually? So essentially, if you enter into a settlement agreement, we would agree not to place a lien unless they violated the settlement agreement. So having a lump sum payment and a lien process would not be what we recommended for that. The lien process, again, would go on to the property tax. We could link it to the property taxes, but essentially what you could do is you could do a payment plan. That was the other thing we went to the property owners with first was hey, here's how much it is. We can do a payment plan over a series of months to pay that off. And so instead of doing the lien process, I would recommend, if you want to go that direction, to do a payment plan for the additional 10,000 over a period of time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davis?
I think city ought to be satisfied with the 30,000, but I'd like to see the extension go to the end of 2026. That way that Mr. Mason would have plenty of time. And from what I've read in this paperwork that Ms. Lagacy handed out, it seems like there's like 40 or 50 items that are needing to be dealt with. And I know if he does it by himself, that's going to take, I know how things are. They go fast, they go slow. So that's what I would like to see.
Thank you.
Through the chair, could I just clarify very quickly? So if we were going to make a claim to the county, we would have to make a claim prior to June 4th of next year.
Okay.
And so if you do give additional time, I would recommend not going past that date, because again, if they did violate the settlement agreement, we would go into a lien process, we would go back into receivership, and so we wouldn't need the claim process or be eligible. But if they did satisfy it prior to the June 4th, we would still have time to file the claim with the county to get additional funds. So.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk? All right. What are the desires of the council?
This is Councilman McCoy. I'd like to make a motion to, let me read it here. authorize the city manager to enter into a settlement agreement with Jeremy and Brooke Mason regarding cost recovery and reimbursement for 1409 Nugget Way, Wairika, California, 96097, assessors parcel number 062-091-270-000.
We wanted to add the extension of time in with this. Would we have to amend this right now?
There's a motion on the
Yes.
floor already.
Got
Correct.
Yes, you would have to clarify you are amending that term. Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I'd like to amend it to extend the time period to first of June, is that?
My understanding is there's a motion on the floor that we need to act on. Is that correct? And then if we want to talk about amendment, then we come back, the motion dies and we come back and we go ahead and discuss it. Am I incorrect on that?
You are.
Oh, I am?
Do you have a second on the motion?
No.
No, we don't have it yet. We're discussing with the motions out there, but we're discussing changing the motion. I don't think, I've never been accustomed on this council to changing the motion, to changing the discussion in the middle of a motion. The motion needs to die is what I've always been advised.
So it'd be appropriate to get a second to see if your motion is even valid, or if it's dead. At that point, the amendment to the motion or a substitute motion could be appropriate.
Thank you.
So we currently have a motion on the floor to authorize the city manager to enter into a settlement agreement with the Masons regarding cost recovery and reimbursement for 1409 Nugget Way, Wairika. Do I have a second to that motion? There's no second, so the motion dies. So I will entertain a subsequent motion.
Madam Mayor?
Mhm.
I'd like to move that to authorize the city manager to enter into a settlement agreement with Jeremy and Brooke Mason regarding cost recovery and reimbursement of 1409 Nugget Way, Wairika, California, 96097, assessor's parcel number 062-091-270-000 with the extension of time to the 1st of June, 2026.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll second the motion. So the motion is to authorize the city manager to enter into a settlement agreement with Jeremy and Brooke Mason regarding cost recovery and reimbursement for 1409 Nugget Way, Wairika, California, 96097, assessor's parcel number 062-091-270-000 with an extension of the completion of the project to June 1st, 2026. Would the clerk please take a roll call vote on this?
All those in favor, Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember McCoy,
Before I cast my vote, I will say that this council, for the 6.5 years that I've been on it, has been burned by, I'm not, there's nothing on the people that we have here tonight. They're wonderful people, but we've been burned when we extend out, building, to the point where we still have places that are burned out in Wairika that have not been 6 or 7 or 8 years, and they have not been, stayed within their timeline. And I'm very concerned about that. I think this is a 6-month project at the most, could be done probably in 3 to 4, even with one person. So my vote will be a nay.
Councilmember Middleton,
Nay.
Councilmember Claire,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Thank you so much. And I've had a request to take a break, so we're going to take a 10-minute break and we will come back at 8:10. So we're going to take a 14-minute break.
So
I will be right back. They need a car, so.
congratulations.
So.
No, it's free. So free. It was so good. Yeah, he did that. We haven't come to her. Our people fun. More. But yeah, I'm looking at it. So fun. It's fun. I just think, oh, yeah, I know this, that. You know, you can't go back. I never missed the notes and this is where I so I said this, you have fun? We're all things that are fun. There's baseball games for not game. You know what? We have a pretty good kind of garden on as well, Rick and yeah, I know the upgrade file. Not too loud. Okay. You send myself on my hair. I walk by your house and you do it. I never forgot. And they even brought it up. Yeah. I think you're over. Are they? Not that I will think of that. Yellow, red, you know, solution. Yeah, that's kind of got any idea. That's a fact. They don't miss a thing either. We go to fight it, it's never enough.
Yeah, I know. I do know.
It's pressure and things better.
Right, right.
How, you two have first street?
Yeah, our charities have been horrifying.
They had five, Cherry Street, or two left.
Yeah, this little bug's eating them, so I've had a hard time with charities.
Right.
Got a pair that-
Oh, we got, are you, no, no. It's in a pond. Okay. But this, I'm very happy that we have that food. I'm not, we have that deal. It's fine for me for the cost. Right. We have so much fruit on our jobs. We have break all of them. Yeah, John, you know. Like it when we think of it. Yeah, but like I do. Yeah.
And yet, what-
Yeah, we have. Yeah, what is that?
It was compared to what I thought.
We got these three cups of care.
Well, we did, this side. Yeah, couple of five apples, five. They're just big.
It's been dry.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish I had more time to.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we have like squash, we'll have big squash. And we do the stuff like that.
Go to remodel a house and not have, just like you don't.
Have to, yeah, I'll check out your party. Oh, I got it. Yeah, one of the best guys. Remember, there's a lot of, he said.
Sit down. Oh,
We
yeah.
have mild, always, always better.
Yeah.
Oh, but do that, you probably have. Maybe it's not, oh, it was the.
Yeah. Yeah.
All driving good back.
Yeah, they're running down ready.
It's, no, that's great.
The winter, we have to cover it because, you know,
Anyway, it's. Hey, that's all.
Yeah.
I will start with now, and I'll put you up with this guy. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. You too. That's the one right there. Well, that break though. I'll just. That's so great. Yeah, no, city clerk.
Okay, so we'll, there she is, I'll go tell her. Yeah, Paul. His shoes, these shoes, he swears he can't breathe with them. When I put his socks on, the socks are okay.
Yeah, see, we're just not taking the dog lessons
Yeah, so
after
high.
8 in the morning. Now, why don't you go up to that door? They'll wait on the, yeah, I don't have a lot of realize. But they have the building. It's just. I just got a limit of 115 when I was there. So my brother's gone, they walked in 11 o'clock and had to drop it on him.
We're just back in session. It's 6 and we are on item B under city business and the city manager. This is the introduction and first reading of an ordinance concerning the fire department and approving a resolution. Mr. Elsnap, good evening.
Good evening, council. So for the agenda title, Introduction, a first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 2.28 and 9.48 concerning fire department and approving a resolution of the city council repealing resolution 3005 regarding the fire department constitution and bylaws. To give some background on this item, the Wairika Fire Department has historically been a volunteer department since its inception. Due to growth of the city and changes in the availability of volunteers, the department is moving towards increased full-time staffing. This has been made possible due to funding from Measure H, adding a full-time fire chief, and Measure V, which recently passed in November 2025. With an additional funding, the city can begin the process of building a new fire hall, as well as adding additional paid staffing to support the community emergency response needs. The transition from a primarily volunteer force to an increased number of full-time employees warrants amending the Chapter 2.28 Fire Department of the Wairika Municipal Code. The updates to Chapter 2.28 will also require updates to Title 9. Staff recommends amending Chapter 2.28, moving certain existing sections concerning the throwing of ashes in the street, camping, and building fires, to Chapter 9.48, miscellaneous offenses. Prior to having a full-time paid chief, the department operated solely with volunteers, including volunteer chief, assistant chief, department officers, and firefighters. The Constitution and bylaws for the department provided directions for various department rules, such as appointing officers, duties of officers, chain of command, hosting elections, as well as the conduct of its members. These rules were last modified by way of Resolution 3005 and are significantly outdated for legal and practical use by the city. The city would replace these rules in the event any supplemental rules and policies are necessary. The city manager, as the chief personnel officer, upon recommendation by the fire chief, would adopt any additional procedures. The last major update to the firefighter constitution and bylaws occurred in December of 2012. Which was prior to having a paid fire chief. There has also not been an extensive executive committee for the department since the introduction of the paid chief, which is no longer needed since the fire chief has overall responsibility for the department and has assumed the role of making management decisions for the department. Certain provisions regarding organization and structure have not been amended since 1910, despite the law concerning personnel issues changing significantly since that time. Furthermore, the city has implemented and revised the personnel policies and procedures manual by Resolution 2023-44, which was intended to be the governing policy for defining volunteers. The outdated volunteer constitution conflicts with the current personnel rules and bylaws will be replaced with, with the current personnel rules. It needs to be removed in preparation for paid fire staffing. The volunteer constitution and bylaws will be replaced by the fire department policy manual for specific department procedures, similar at YPD. The various prohibitions on individual actions related to fire and fire equipment are better located in Chapter 9.48 or are now part of the California Vehicle Code. So fiscal impact, no direct fiscal impact by amending the city's municipal code and repealing Resolution 3005, Wairika Volunteer Fire Department's Constitution and bylaws. This is a CEQA exempt ordinance. And the recommended action, staff recommends council waive full readings of ordinance and introduce the proposed ordinance attachment 1, amending Chapter 2.28 Fire Department and adding Chapter 9.48.180 and 9.48.190 to Chapter 9.48 Miscellaneous Offenses. Section 2.28.170, throwing hot ashes in streets, camping, building fires, will be moved to 9.48.170. A penalty provision as a misdemeanor and monetary fine will be specified in section 9.48.180. The ordinance would be passed as subsequent regular city council meeting after second reading. The ordinance will become effective 30 days thereafter. Staff further recommends the council adopt this proposed resolution repealing City Council Resolution 3005, Wairika Volunteer Fire Department Constitution and bylaws.
Thank you so much. Do the council members have any questions for Mr. Elsnab? Great, I will open it up for public comment at this time. There's no public comment, so I'll bring it back to the council. What are the wishes of the council?
This is Councilman McCoy. I'd like to recommend, let's see, let me look here and see. I'd like to recommend that we adopt the introduction of a proposed ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wairika amending chapters 2.28 Fire Department and 9.48.10 and 9.48.180 and 9.48190 miscellaneous offenses. Number 2, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Wairika repealing City Council Resolution 3005, Wairika Volunteer Fire Department and Constitution bylaws. Number 3, finding ordinance exempt from CEQA. And number 4, directing staff to take all actions required for adoption of proposed ordinance and resolution. In addition, I'd like to thank Mr. Jared, and I'd like to thank Mr. Elsnab for working on this and getting it done in a timely fashion. Gentlemen, thank you.
I second.
So we have a motion on the floor and a second. And will the clerk please read the title of the ordinance into the record?
Okay, it'll be an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wairika, California, amending Chapter 2.28 of the Wairika Municipal Code entitled Fire Department and Chapter 9.48 Miscellaneous Offenses and finding the ordinance exempt from CEQA.
And just to recap, we have a motion on the floor by Councilmember McCoy, second by Councilmember Davis, it's the introduction of a proposed ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wairika amending chapters 2.28 Fire Department and 9.48.180 and 9.48.190 miscellaneous offenses. Further, to adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Wairika repealing City Council Resolution 3005, Wairika Volunteer Fire Department and Constitution bylaws. And 3, finding that the ordinance is exempt from CEQA. And 4, directing staff to take all actions required for adoption of the proposed ordinance and resolution. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
All those in favor, please signify by letting me know. Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember McCoy,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton, Councilmember Claire,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
So up for item C, which is introduction and first reading of an ordinance amending Wairika Municipal Code, Chapter 2.54, City Property Trespassing, consideration of urgency ordinance amending Wairika Municipal Code, Chapter 2.54, City Property Trespassing, and determination that the ordinance is not subject to CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines, Section 15061B3 and 15378. Mr. Elsnab.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. So to give some background on this item as well, in 1979, the City Council adopted a process to withdraw properties controlled or owned by the city from access by members of the public. That process requires that whenever staff identifies that an area under the control of the city, such as public building or portion of a public lot requiring maintenance or remediation, would need to come before the City Council to adopt a resolution for withdrawal from public use. The 45-year-old process does not allow for the speed with which contemporary municipal services require to address modern threats to the public health, safety, and welfare. Issues relating to fire dangers, threats to public services, potential damage to public property, perils inherent on public property increasingly warrant the city being able to take immediate action to protect health, safety, and welfare of the public, and the protection of the public property from damage or potential damage. The risk of fire posed at certain properties owned or controlled by the city requires that when the fire chief identifies potential fire threat, that the city be able to exclude persons from such area without formal action by the city council. Similarly, in this event, that the director of public works identifies a threat to the public patronizing the community facilities. Examples, algae bloom, down trees, vectors, or a threat to public resources based on public use, erosion, pollution activities. The need arises for immediate actions to be taken by staff to restrict the use of public areas to address the threat. Such issues warrant staff being able to take immediate action to control and use the access of the city-owned controlled property through a variety of measures besides withdrawal of such places by council action. This includes existing public access as well as restriction on types of duration of use through exclusions of access and use by orders of staff. The city's police powers, as granted broadly under Article 11, Section 7 of the California Constitution, the City Council has the authority to enact and enforce ordinances and regulations for the public peace, health, and welfare of the city and its residents. The City Council is vested with the authority to control access of city-owned or controlled property and may delegate such power to staff. Given the immediate threats posed by potential for wildfires and other degradation to the city property through overuse, this proposed ordinance is presented as an urgency ordinance pursuant to Government Code Section 36934, 36 and 36937 in order to take effect immediately. The risk of fire in particular, as well as theft and delayed response to emergencies, pose an immediate threat to the public health, safety, and welfare, that the duration to amend the city code poses an additional threat to the immediate preservation of public health, safety, and welfare, justifying that the ordinance be enacted as an urgency ordinance pursuant to the government code and take effect immediately. There is no direct fiscal impact by amending the city's municipal code. This ordinance is exempt from CEQA. In the recommended action, staff recommends council waive full readings of the ordinance presented, adopt as the urgency ordinance the proposed ordinance amending chapters 2.54 to be effective immediately, see attachment 2, and also introduce the same amendment to chapter 2.54 as a regularly adopted ordinance to be effective 30 days after adoption at the second reading. And that concludes the report.
Thank you. Did the council members have any questions? Okay, I will open it up for public comment at this time. There is no public comment, so I will bring it back to the council for further discussion. And we have a couple of different ordinances to consider. So if possible, we have the regular ordinance and then also the urgency ordinance. So if we could take the ordinance and the urgency ordinance as separate votes.
They need to be taken as separate votes?
It would be best, yeah.
Okay.
So
Well-
what are the wishes of the council?
And if I could also reject, first, it would be appropriate to have a motion to waive the full reading of, both, and to, allow for the introduction by reading from the title only.
This is,
That motion, then motion for, you can make all three motions.
oh, wow. This Councilman McCoy, and again, I'd like to thank Mr. Elstad, Mr. Jared for taking the time to get this done in a quick fashion, because we are in the middle of a very, very bad fire season. So I'm gonna make the motion to waive full reading and introduce for first reading an ordinance waive the full motion and introduce for reading an ordinance amending Wairika Municipal Code Section 2.54.1010 City Property Trespassing Attachment 1.2. You want me to go ahead with the next, the waive full reading and adopt, this is the second motion, right?
So, yeah, you just made the motion to waive full reading of the, the first and second reading motion. That motion could also include waiving the full reading of the ordinance.
Okay, then I'm going to go a little bit further if it pleases the council to waive the full reading and adopt an urgency ordinance amending Wairika Municipal Code Section 2.54.010 city property. City property. Do you want me to read the rest of it,
So that-
sir?
With that, you would be waiving the full reading. You correctly made that motion. The council would then vote on that motion. That would then perfect the right to just read now the titles of the two ordinances. Then it would be appropriate to move on to yea or nay on the urgency ordinance, yea or nay on the first and second reading.
Thank you, sir. Then I will go ahead and rest. I made the motion.
Middleton, I will second.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember McCoy, a second by Councilmember Middleton, to waive the full reading and introduce for first reading an ordinance of the City Council, City of Wairika, amending Wairika Municipal Code Section 2.54.101, city property trespassing, and finding and determining that this ordinance is not subject to CEQA, as well as waive the full reading and adoption of an urgency ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wairika, amending the Wairika Municipal Code Section 2.54.010 city property trespassing, and also finding that that ordinance is exempt from CEQA. Would the city clerk please take a roll call vote?
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember McCoy,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton, Councilmember Claire, Councilmember Baker. The motion passes. Thank you.
Yes, so the way that the motion was made, motion was for the waiver of full reading. Now would be appropriate for have a motion for the substance of passage of urgency ordinance and the finding of secret exemption on urgency ordinance. That would be the next motion.
Is there any discussion? What are the wishes of the council?
Go ahead. Did you want to say anything?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Still moved. What he said. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what he said, but I do know what he said. The exact words I don't know.
So,
The motion is to approve the urgency ordinance.
Yes. I move that we approve the urgency ordinance.
and seek,
And the sequel part,
And the CEQA
finding.
finding.
this is Councilman McCoy. I'll second Councilman Davis's motion.
Take a roll call vote on the motion.
All those in favor, sorry. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember McCoy,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton, Councilmember Claire,
Aye.
and Councilmember Baker. Thank you. The motion passes.
The final motion. No, go ahead, say it. So the final motion for consideration is to introduce for first reading the full ordinance and amending to the introduction and first reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 2.5 for city property trespassing and making the determination that this ordinance is exempt from CEQA.
So this is Councilman McCoy. I will make the motion to introduce the first reading of the proposed ordinance 2.54, trespassing on city property, and waive the CEQA requirements.
Finding the ordinances.
Finding the ordinance meets CEQA requirements. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. And let me rephrase that. I want to introduce the first reading of the proposed ordinance 2.54, trespassing on city property, and also that the ordinance does not, is not subject to CEQA regulations or CEQA language.
The finding is that it's exempt from CEQA.
Yeah, finding ordinance.
The finding is exempt from CEQA guidelines according to the findings. I'm sorry. Is that clear enough for the city clerk?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Council Middleton, I'll second.
Member Roy, second by Council Member Middleton to waive the first reading of this ordinance, which the city clerk will please read the title into the record.
For clarification, waiver of the full reading.
The full reading.
This is the first reading.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just for Andrew, would that be attachment 1? So I read the correct item. Okay. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Wairika, California, amending Chapter 2.54 to the Wairika Municipal Code entitled City Property, Trespassing, and finding and determining that this ordinance is not subject to the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA guidelines, sections 15061B3 and 15378.
Thank you so much. Would the clerk also please take a roll call vote?
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember McCoy.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Claire. Councilmember Baker. Thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you.
So much, everyone, for getting us through those many motions. The next item on the agenda is the city manager and staff reports. Mr. Elsnap.
Good evening, council. I have a city manager update on the planning commission. As of July 2nd, 2025, Dawn Marie Autry has resigned from her planning commissioner appointment. With the recent vacancy, we now have 3 vacant appointments and only 2 active members, being Ann Oland and Brian Devlin. At a future council meeting, staff is planning to bring back the planning commission for discussion and possible action on whether the council wants to continue the planning commission or put the duties on the city council. Staff is planning to bring this item back tentatively in the month of August. So, just wanted to inform the council. Thank you.
Do we have any staff reports?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This is Jerry Lemus, City Fire Chief. So I just wanted to give you an update on what's been going on with the fire department since the last time I was up here talking to you folks. Still, obviously the number one call we've been responding to is medical aids. We're 180 plus at this point this year so far. The biggest one that stands out as far as call volume is the vegetation fires. I had 12 written on here, and then while we were here starting the meeting, we had popped another fire in another jurisdiction, which our folks responded to. So it's been going good. Everybody's been working really hard. Just like everyone else, they're dealing with the heat, trying to stay hydrated. In fact, we just picked up a pallet of water that was donated from Crystal Geyser and Weed today, so we're set for a while. We responded to a structure fire on July 5th on Yama Street. Some of you probably were aware of that. No injuries. Everyone got out. And fortunately, there was substantial damage, but I believe it's probably repairable at, at some point in the future. But I wanted to point out just that everyone worked really well together. I was a little bit behind my assistant chief. He took over incident command, and I got to do some operational stuff, which was a nice change of pace for me. And I got to see my folks, or all the firefighters, working together from South Wairika, Cal Fire, Grenada, and that's all due to our agreements that we have put in place, and that's really been helpful. And some days you're short on people, some you might have several of them responding or already on a fire somewhere, but we have those extra personnel that are available when we have all those agreements. So that's always been a huge help. So I wanted to make you aware of that. Based on the prompt from Councilmember McCoy, I did speak with the manager at Oak Ridge Mobile Home Park, and I found some things that needed to be improved on. And I'm gonna have to work with the hospital staff, getting them to fix some of the issues that are going on there under construction in case they had to use the emergency evacuation route. There's some issues there that, could plug things up. So we're gonna get that fixed. And I also made some suggestions about marking the evacuation route for members there, for residents of that park, so they can get out, at night if there's a lot of smoke, whatever it is, they know how to get out. Just make sure they're covering all their bases when that happens, and it makes for a much smoother process. Hopefully that never happens. They've done a lot of vegetation management in that area, so I feel a lot better about being able to defend that park. Lastly, we're having really good progress on the fire station project. I'm excited the way things have gone, and I want to commend Cindy Lynch and all the city staff, Mr. Elsnab, Jason Ledbetter. Obviously, when he was city manager here, he was instrumental in getting a lot of things done. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but the entire city staff that has been working on this it's been amazing. We've done a lot as Cindy brought up tonight. It started back in 2020. I just found a letter I wrote in 2021 that regarding that. So it's been 4 years of really sticking our putting our nose to the grindstone and getting things done. So things will be happening hopefully here soon. And anyway, I look forward to that day when we have some of you hopefully here to cut the ribbon. So that's exciting news. So that's all I have. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for Chief Lemus? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other staff reports? Okay, thank you. So item 13, mayor and council member reports, statements and requests. I will start to my far left this evening with Mr. Davis.
Last month, we had a fire safe council meeting, and the report was pretty positive. They had a lot of fires last month. The Forest Service had 11 fires, 7 by lightning, and 4 were under investigation. It seems to be a situation that we've been having around, is people lighting, arson. So it's kind of too bad. The CEQA was accepted on the Outson Road project, therefore they will begin on that. I've been on that council for 2 years, and they've been talking about doing it for 2 years. So according to the Karuks, they are trying to get a fire station below the casino there, or maybe over towards their office. I'm not exactly sure of the place. They also want Chief Lemus's staff to staff it a little bit at times. I'm not sure that that's going to work out, but if he is involved, they will get trained properly, and that'll be a positive thing. The only negative comment I heard at that was that we don't use the air safe burner nearly enough for the citizens. That it's a real positive thing to have, but it's only was open every 2 weeks on Saturdays. It would be nice if it was open more. Thank you.
Mr. McCoy?
I want to thank again, Mr. Chair, Mr. Elkamp, for taking, not, pace in getting things done as far as fire safety goes. I kept getting, it just in one day I got down, when I was down in Arizona, I got 5 different notices of new fires in Siskiyou County. I see one come across on the Butler Fire now that's over 8,000 acres and 0% containment. So, I mean, we kept our city safe, and I appreciate that. I appreciate what you two did to bring us those, ordinances so we can continue to work. I would like to, I know we're talking about discussing the planning commission. I just don't see that the planning commission needs to come back to us. I think stay where it is. I also think we need to reestablish the historic commission. I sat on that for like, I don't know, 10 years. It does a lot of stuff for the planning commission, so planning commission doesn't have to do it. We've already got enough stuff that we do here. We don't need to add to our meeting. And I'm not sure where they're coming from as well. I just don't see a need to bring it back to us for any reason whatsoever for discussion. The planning commission has done a great job. I was on it 4 or 5 years. It's done a great job. The time that I do on historic or planning commission or 20 years, whatever, or this council. So I would like to see that squelched and just kill right or you back. So I'm not meaning to hit that goal or anything like that. But I want to thank the mayor for working with Nancy Ogren and Brian Shinoni from the county on cooling shelters. I think it's something that we need cooling shelters because the county hasn't really been interested in doing them. In my 6.5 years on the council, we just haven't. We say it's not a big deal. They don't go to the, and it's great to think you go to the library people below them. So I would like for us to continue to work as a council on seeing what we can do to get cooling shelters, if we maybe get them like the provisions and things like that. So, and it has one. I got sat on a cooling shelter when I sat in on maybe morning shelter in this very building and over in the church. It's very gratifying to be able to take your time and spend the night with those people over the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Middleton.
All right. I don't have much to report. COC was canceled, so we did not have that meeting. I look forward to the discussion, bringing the idea of not having the planning commission any longer. We've struggled with having a full body for a long time. Lack of interest. They have only met, I think, 3 times in a year, 2 times at best. So I don't think it's a overwhelming need for it at this time, and we could always bring it back. So I look forward to the discussion. One thing I would like to bring back for discussion is also that I've been receiving a lot of complaints that our city hall is closed on Fridays. That was not supposed to be a long-term situation. That was supposed to be a temporary situation years and years ago, way before I sat here, that it was a 2-month span only during permit processing and dog licensing so that the staff could catch up with all the permits from the city or the city business licenses and the dog licenses all due at the same time. It overwhelmed the staff. It was supposed to be a 2-month period when they were due. We ordered that to be the city hall to be open to our previous city manager. It was opened up for a little while. He closed it without our permission, and that it was never brought to us for discussion. And at that time, it was cited that it was short-staffed. We're fully staffed at the counter. We have people lining, coming here on Fridays. I've heard several complaints about people coming from the valley to pay their bills that have rentals, that they get to the door, it's locked. They don't like to use the drop box. They don't like to use their credit card. So I would like to have discussion about having City Hall reopened back on Fridays, because that is not supposed to be it. And if we're talking about giving people 5 minutes to speak and be heard, we should be having our city hall open to serve the people. So I'd like to have that brought back at the next meeting if possible. And if I have to write it up on reasoning why, what I just discussed, I'll be happy to do that. So with that, it's been hot. Hope everybody's staying cool. My thoughts are with the family who lost their house, or hopefully don't lose it or rebuild on Yama Street. I'm glad there was no injuries. Thanks to our fire department and the other agencies that assisted, because I know it was they were quick to respond, and it could have been a lot worse because it's still standing. I know there's probably damage, so that's always great, and I've heard great things about your guys' response. I've also heard a lot of compliments about YPD and their response, and I know they've been busy and it's hot out there, and but I've heard nothing but professionalism and the response time that they've been out there busy. So thank you to your department chief as well. With that, I will end the night. And with that, I shouldn't say end my talking for the night. Thank you.
Item for us regarding the city office hours.
Oh, yes, will do.
All right. So I have just a couple of things. First of all, to run down on 2.6. I was invited to this meeting and had the honor of introducing Mr. Elspeth to the group. And I attended the Volvo meeting in Dunsmere on July 9th. It was a great day together. And I'm always so impressed with everything that our cities are doing for this county. So I would really encourage you guys, if it's possible, to go to some of those Volvo meetings. I mean, this county overall is a happy place. Our cities are busy in really positive things. And is good. And let me see. I'm continuing to hold an office hour on Fridays here. That's going really well, and I'm encouraged any other city council members that have do that. Maybe consider doing that, because it has been really positively accepted. And I know that we all spend time in statements and times in different locations, but I have really enjoyed having people down here chatting with you. So that's been going really well. Concerts in the park, we have concerts this Friday. We have the farmers market on the Friday afternoons in my park as well. I have been doing some research on healing centers, and then meeting with Mr. Elsnap and we'll come back and some with some recommendations. I have a copy of the county's roadmap for farming food shelters. If anybody would like to give that to read. That county has also updated their actual policy with regard to this document as well. So I would encourage you guys, there's a lot of them that to this roadmap. Additionally, I would just like to remind the council that we do have a personnel hearing scheduled on August 27th and 28th. And it's imperative that as many of us as possible to prepare for that 2-day hearing. So if you're not able to attend both days of that hearing, you can please let Mr. Elsnap know as soon as possible. And finally, I just have one request this evening. The street sign on the corner of Minor and Broadway has been gifted. I had some pictures that was in the town, and they got lost in downtown area. So I thought it was cute. If we can, Mr. Elsnap did that sign bracket. So that's what I have this evening. I'd like to thank everybody for attending this evening, as well as part of the
Yeah, I will.